Hi guys, it's Amy from Little Farm Quilts. Today is Monday, April 19th, 2021, and I thought I would check in with my current progress and some plans. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's getting tons of stitchy time. I hope everybody is doing all the things. Things are winding down for me in my busy season here. So a little bit of a life update. I guess we'll welcome everybody back first. For those of you that keep following me, welcome back. For those of you that are new, thanks for coming. Make sure to like and subscribe and click that bell so you get notified when I put videos up. I will warn you if you're new here that sometimes I'm consistent about putting videos up and sometimes I'm not. My life gets kind of crazy sometimes, and floss tubes are generally the first thing to go if life gets that busy. But hang on and we'll do just fine. Little bit of a life update. As you guys know, I'm a nurse educator. I teach a clinical this semester, 12 hours on a Saturday, and then I'm at the college 3 other days of the week. During the height of COVID, I helped in a COVID unit and on the floors at the hospital during our school break. Love my job, love the people I work with. I love being a nurse, but I do also like crafting a lot. So this is a floss tube that's going to talk a little bit about cross stitch, mostly about cross stitch, a little bit about quilting and knitting. I will leave those at the end, so if cross stitch is your thing, you can just peace out after the cross stitch, and that's it. I have a little bit of knitting, a little bit of sewing, actually more sewing than usual, I would think. And I'm going to go through my WIPs, what I've been working on. I have one finish. It's not FFO'd yet. I'm hoping to do that today. So we will FFO that today. I'm also going to go through and talk about some new floss tubers that I have found recently. I have been bad about keeping up with watching floss tubes just because I've been busy writing papers. I am in school to get my master's of nursing education. And I have been busy writing papers, and I find, like, I'm sitting here at my computer now, there is a castable, if you know what that means, if that's even a word, there's a TV directly across from me that I can cast floss tubes to from my phone. I can also watch them here as I have a double monitor, but I find that I can't write papers and watch a floss tube. So what happens is I usually have Google play some music, and I write papers, and then if I have time, I will watch floss tube later. So I've been bad about keeping up with floss tube, both recording them and watching, but I have found some new ones as of late, and I thought I would try to give shout outs because everybody's putting out so much good content that you should be able to find anything you want to watch on floss tube. Seriously. Alright, so I have coffee and a water. So we'll see how long this goes today. Update. My farm is small. It started out much bigger than it was. We only have one duck left. We have a small orchard. The trees look great. I went out to look at them. I live in upstate New York. We had a beautiful day. I'm looking out because I'm in my basement. It is beautiful and sunny out today. It's supposed to get up in the 60s. It was beautifully sunny yesterday, up in the 50s. We are honeybee keepers, or we were. It seems that all the hives that we had are empty. So my plan today is to go out and open up the hives and see what happens. So they either all died, but what I think was more likely is they all swarmed out. We knew that was a very high possibility for us this year, and I'm just going to give you a brief explanation, so just bear with me for a second if this isn't your thing. At the end of the last season, we split our hives at the beginning of last season. And splitting means exactly what it sounds like, splitting them in half and making 2 hives out of 1. And we were very successful at splitting hives last year. And then those hives became very strong to the point where when we were headed into late fall, if we were in summertime, we would have split them again. They were a lot of bees and very strong. Um, I've never well, we've only been beekeepers for like 5 years. And in the 5 years we've been doing it, I've never seen them be that strong. So it must be we were doing something right. But it was too late in the season to split them and expect them to be able to survive, in my opinion. And I probably just don't know enough about beekeeping to know, but we made the decision to leave honey supers on. We don't feed our bees over the winter, feed our bees over the winter either, because they're difficult for us to get to in the wintertime. So we will more likely leave a honey super on instead of taking it off and let them have that for the winter. And so far that's worked great. That system has worked great for us over the years. And anyway, but in the fall, in October, I was thinking, these hives are big and they're going to run out of room. And anyway, went into winter knowing that this exactly what happened could have happened, and we were just, it is what it is. We didn't feel comfortable splitting the hives that close to possible winter weather here, which in upstate New York, I mean, we can get snow in September. So anyway, so we decided not to split them. I'm getting around this bush right back to where we are today. I went out and checked the bees early, I want to say late February, maybe early March, when we had a good enough day to go out. They would have been flying, so I'd have been able to see if they were still there. I went out, they were flying, they were busy, and I had planned to go out in the next few days to do kind of a quick, not even so much an inspection as much as to add more room to the bees. And then we had a front come through, and we had bad weather and snow, and it was a couple weeks where we had rain, snow. It was just not good weather to do that. And the very next patch of good weather that we had, I went out. I didn't think I saw any movement in the hive, but it was a little cooler on that day, so I wasn't sure if they were even going to be out that day. And it was windy. And then my husband works from home still. He has for a year. He went out one day while I was at the college and said, I don't see any movement out there. And it was a 70-degree day. And I was like, oh, crap. I bet they swarmed out when we got the good weather. And that's what we think happened. So my goal today is to go out. The hives are still out there. I'm going out and I'm going to open them up, confirm that they've left, and dismantle the hives and pull them all back. And if there's any honey in the hives, we will harvest that off. But I don't think we're going to get back into beekeeping, just because if you've been watching me for any period of time, you know my husband and I like to travel, and we've just come out of the year of the pandemic, which seems to never end because it's still going a little bit, and we have trips planned this year. So not having bees is an easier way for us to, do that and not worry about the bees. And other people won't take care of the bees for us like other people take care of the dogs. So there you go. Hold on, I'm going to adjust some things. I have a lot of stuff around me. I have a lot of stuff behind me, and I just dropped the microphone, so you probably just heard that. So hold on, let me get a little bit more settled. And let me make sure the settings on the microphone are good. So sorry, bear with me. I feel like I'm washed out on this video, so I'm going to turn this down a little bit and see if that helps. There, we'll see how things show up. So let's do the cross stitch first, shall we? I actually feel like a grown-up floss tuber now after doing all those sewing videos for all that time. And I've been doing floss tubes I gave up on doing the floss tube number because I don't keep track of it. But I've been doing floss tubes. I know it's been over a year, and it could be since Maynia of 2019. Yeah, I think so. Could be 2 years. I don't pay attention much to that. I started doing floss tubes to just kind of vlog what I'm doing so that my kids would have it. But then I just enjoy seeing everybody else's things too. So this year, before I get into my finishes and WIPs. So year 2021 for me is the year of the WIP. I have probably 30 plus WIPs, maybe less than that now. Probably 30 or less now. And so I'm working on WIPs, and I've actually had quite a bit of finishes since the beginning of the year. I was scrolling through my Instagram trying to do birth dates, and I'll explain to that why. Birth dates are the year I started something. And I have had some small finishes, no large finishes this year yet, but I do plan on having a couple, so we'll see. Let's start with a finish. So my finish, and this is a start and a finish. I started it, had it done in a week, and it was mainly because I needed some easy, attainable finish in a short time frame. Things got really busy, and I needed a travel piece that was easy to take to places, work, and things like that. So I picked Prairie Schooler where there are bees. Sorry about the glare. Let me tilt my light a little bit so it's not so much. Where are the bees? And I did this small right here in this corner, and I changed the colors, and I didn't leave them out, so I can't even tell you what I did. I did a 36 count piece of white linen, and here she is. And I think what I'm going to do, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to finish her. That's actually showing up pretty true to colors. I know that the dark color is $37.99. That's my favorite dark gray. But I think I'm going to do a pillow finish, and I'm going to add her to my decor upstairs. So that's it. I had a finish. So I'm going to drop these things on the floor. I'll take care of them later. So because of the year of the WIP, I joined one sale this year. Last year I tended to do all the sales, and I actually have a couple sales that I did not finish last year. For those of you that don't know, its sale is Stitch Along. I'm just checking my phone to make sure that's nothing urgent. Anyway, I only joined one sale, and it was Modern Folk Embroidery's 2021 sale. It is called The Fruit of Plenty, and this is what it's going to look like. Isn't that a cool pattern? Let's let that focus. See if that focuses. I'm going to watch this video back, because to me it looks like it's not focusing. But when I Zoom call with people, they say it's very much in focus. So, but that's it. I chose my own colors. So I'm doing this on a piece of 36 count Lakeside linen in porcelain. Okay, we're going to ignore that for right now. And I actually ironed my pieces. That's what I was saying. I feel like a grown-up floss tuber. I actually ironed my pieces. So this is 36 count porcelain by Lakeside Linen. And this is it. I'm hoping you can see that. And I'm working on right now getting March done and starting April. So my goal is to have March complete and April started before May's release. That's my goal. These colors look really washed out. Let me put this a little closer. So I picked my own colors, and some parts of this I'm doing 2/2, and some I'm doing 1/2, and I'll explain to you. So let's look at January's. The bird I did in DMC 823, 2/2. This right here, these lighter motifs that you see around, see I'm directionally challenged, are done with DMC 823, 1/2. The urn here, as well as the vase here, as well as the heart outline and the crown in the middle part, are done with DMC 3799, 2/2. And then this variegated floss, let me see if I can get a patch for you to look at really closely. This right here, this variegation, this is sulky, it's a blendable, and it's in the colorway Peacock. It is, the number on it is 7134016, and it is that. Let's see if I can. It is that, and that is what I'm using. And I like how it's turning out. I was not liking how it was turning out for a while, and I was on a Zoom call with a friend of mine, a stitcher friend. Her name is Gail. She's from Gail's Golden Needle. And I told her I was using the called for thread, and I said, you know, it's a great pattern, and I love the pattern, and I love this type of stitching here where the pattern's actually in the unstitched. But I wasn't in love with the color scheme. It just wasn't bringing me joy to stitch. It wasn't anything. I'm going to adjust the lighting here a little bit. It's kind of a weird day here today. Let me see if I can reach it back here. Oh, please. There. That lighting's better. So she suggested, well, just think about it for a little bit and change your colors. So I went to the colors that I love, which are gray, blues, and greens. And together, they work. And it wasn't until I was stitching on it, it's these colors right here. It wasn't until I was stitching on it that I started thinking, well, if I want to emphasize some parts of it, then I should. And I can do that by stitching 2 over 2 or 1 over 2, depending on what I wanted to stand out. And when I did that in January, it looked really great. So I've kind of carried it through. I'm hoping if I pick the right elements to emphasize going through the pattern, that it'll balance out and it won't look awkward. But at the end of the day, it's going up on my wall, so it'll be a learning experience, and that part I love. So that's my one stitch along for 2021. There's another goal that I've had for 2021, and that is I have a full coverage piece. It's my oldest WIP. I started it back in the 90s. It went in a box for 20 years, and I've recently dug it back out. It's the only cross stitch I had hanging out, because I used to, believe it or not, be a monogamous stitcher. I dug it out, and ever since the beginning of 2021, it has been my daily 30 minutes, so it's first thing every morning. And it's also what I'm using for Full Coverage Fanatics 21,000 stitches in 2021. My hope is that it comes really close to finishing this, and so the piece, you guys have seen it almost every time. It's called Lost No More. It was a Dimensions Gold collection kit. You can get the pattern now as a PDF, but I think the kit's no more unless you find it on eBay. So I'm using this with the kit fabric, which I believe somebody said, oh, it's 18 count. I just saw it. It's done on 18 count beige Ada fabric that was in the kit with all the DMC threads. Brenda from Handwork Maniac is also working on this. So is Colette from Highway Stitcher is working on this. And I think there's more that are working on this. So I love stitching on this. It brings me peace. So most mornings for 30 minutes, it gets 30 minutes almost every morning. There are some mornings it doesn't. My goal every week is to get one block of 100 stitches done every day, which will have me well up and over the 21,000 stitches. And I'm going to show you my chart just because you won't be able to make the whole pattern off of this, but really quick, see the different colors of highlights? So the pink square is where I started today on Monday, and I'm going to keep turning it so you can't copy the pattern. But I try to highlight the square different color every week so that I can see every week progress. And I had to move the Q-snap today, so like I said, I feel like a big girl today. I ironed them all for you. So I had to move the Q-snap, which means I'm making great progress. And I want to show you where I'm at today. And here he is. So when I started the year, none of this corner here was done. I had started, if you guys go back, I had Jesus' head done. I had this, let me get it, staff done, and all the way up into this corner. But from like here over here, I had nothing. So none of this. So since January, that's what I have gotten done. And let me let this drop. There we go. Perfect. See, I'm directionally challenged with these. And I am using the parking method, and I am doing squares of 100. I am not, I kind of go into a square, do all of that one color in the square, and move on to the next color for that square, if that makes sense. And that's how I've been doing it. I can't see, when I look at this up close, I cannot see delineation of the squares that I stitched, because some things are half stitches, some things are full stitches. I haven't run into any quarter stitches yet, but yeah, I'm very happy with my progress on this, and now I get to move my Q-snap, and now my decision is going to be, so which side do I want to go to? Do I want to go to the left of Jesus or to the right of Jesus? But let me give you a picture of everything that's done. Not quite halfway, I don't think. Maybe a third. But I enjoy seeing progress, and I'm looking at it now in the camera. Those trees look awesome. This is going to look awesome up on the wall. I think I am, once I get down to Jesus' shoulder there, on this side, I think I'm going to start the back stitch so I don't have that all to do at the end. I don't care for back stitch, so, but I have seen Brenda, Handwork Maniac, she started the back stitch, and the back stitch is really needed and really, really does something for the piece. So I'm going to do that. So those are my two, the ones that I work on daily. I had a WIP go board, and that quickly went to, I can't do that. Number one, my schedule has not allowed for that much stitching, and I know they're yearly goals, but it's just a lot of pressure, and it's the feeling of failure, you know. So I decided that I wanted to do some comfort stitching, and right now for me, it was the 2020 Pandemic Sampler by Sarcy Girl. This was a free download at one point. I don't know that it's still free. But I just loved it. I can't explain to you why. The colors, the printer version is not, you'll see when you see the actual piece, the colors are brighter. And I'm all for the bright colors. I really have found that that's my jam. And just so you can see the floss, my floss is always a mess. So just so you know, see the bright colors. My floss is always a mess because what I do is I take a needle and I pull out a thread from here. And so my flosses are always a mess. But there you go. There's that. I am stitching this on 36 count extra design linen in dirty linen is what it's called. I'm stitching them 2/2. I like 2/2 on 36 count. I like the coverage of it. Very rarely will I stitch a 36 count with 1/2 unless it's a really tightly woven 36 count. But I find on the extra designs that's a little bit washed out there. That's better. But, so the house is kind of big. I put a couple of threads into the house roof and the house itself, and then I'll move on to something else. And there's 2 big houses in this. So this is not even, I did extend the border over all the way, And as you can see, I'm very close. This is like 1.5 inches. But it's okay. I'm happy with it. It's a nice project. I really like the colors. I really like, because each motif is kind of like a little finish. So I like that. And the only other main thing that I've worked on, cross-stitch wise, is my mushroom and fern chatelaine. So I took it off everything today. It's going back on rods. I've ironed it, and I will talk more about it in plans, but I do have it set up to show to you. And you'll have to pardon the threads, but here's where I am. So I'm going to bring it in and let it focus. I was working in this area last night. This side over here, this corner here is completely done, with beads included. And I'm now basically concentrating in this bottom middle section. That's why I was working over here, was because then I can drop this down and make sure that it all meets up, and if not, I'll fudge it on the way. But this is where I am. It has been ironed. It is going back on rods today, and I'll talk more about that when we talk more about plans. So Maynia is coming. So I took some time yesterday and I organized WIPs, and what I did was, I'll put this thread away since I've got this bag. I think I saw this originally in Kindred Stitcher, but I've seen it since then. So I put tags on my WIPs, and I don't know if that's going to focus or if that's going to wash out because of the white. There we go. Can you guys see that? These key tags I got at Walmart, and it says that, this one says, in case you can't see it, Modern Folk Embroidery Sale, started on 1/1/21. So I went through all my WIPs, and I labeled them all with their birth date. I did that yesterday. And I think my plan when I was doing that, in fact, I know my plan when I was doing that was to, I'm laughing because those of you that have been watching me for a while know that I try to plan and it just doesn't work out that way. But I think my plan when I started to label birth dates, and some of it I had to painstakingly go back, and some of them I had to guess because I had a relatively good idea, but I didn't document on Instagram that day, or I didn't document anywhere that day that I started it, so I don't have the true birth date, but I can guesstimate pretty good based on what I was posting on Instagram and how far along I was. My plan was to take all my WIPs that I had started in Maynia of last year, or if I had anything left for 19, which I only have one left from 2019, and work on them on their birth dates through May. So mine is going to be a WIP Maynia. But my original plan was to do that, work on their birth dates, and have 4 new starts. And they had to be smalls or mediums. Like I think one of them I had planned was, hold on, I'm going to pause you for just a second. Okay, we're back. And they were going to be, I was talking about my new starts. And they were going to be not BAPs, big ass projects. And I'm sorry, I don't normally swear, and I almost feel bad saying it, but that's what they are. They're big projects. Big mama jamas. So the starts that I had were relatively small, considering. Like there's one here, I'm going to show you from haul, because I have started to buy a few patterns now. Is 95 by 138. So that kind of size. And I had planned 3 or 4 of them, and that was only if I stuck to my schedule of stitching the WIPs on their birthdays. And the way it was going to work, matter of fact, I can show you the way it was going to work. I've since changed my mind, and I know exactly what I'm doing for Maynia now. Had a calendar, and I had all their birth dates written. And these are just for Maynia pieces, so keep in mind, I have WIPs that are not Maynia pieces. So these are just Maynia pieces. And I was going to stitch on them for however many days I had. So for this one, I was going to be able to stitch on 3 days, and then I would move to the next one. And some that would only get 1 day. And honestly, the ones that are on Saturday may not get much at all, because I teach for 3 of these weeks, I teach 12-hour clinicals on Saturday. And that's what the plan was yesterday morning. Then, as I got thinking about it through the day, I am a process stitcher. I very much enjoy the process of stitching, but I also want to get things finished and up on my walls. And honestly, if you look around my house, there is not a ton up on the walls. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So cross-stitching in 2 years, I've got 4 up on the walls. Now, some things were gifts, and some things I've sold, because I used to have a quilting booth. So some things I've sold through there if they weren't my aesthetic. I have a couple things down here, behind me. I have some things hanging on the door. I have a piece up here on shelves. But really, for stitching, being back and stitching pretty hardcore for the last 2 years, I don't have a ton on the walls. And I have lots of things that I'd love to have on the walls. Like, the reason I've gotten these patterns is because they're our aesthetic. I want them done. And that's, So I'm a process stitcher, and then I love the process of stitching. I love the process of picking out floss, subbing in from my stash, adjusting things to my aesthetic. But I also want to get things done. So then I had this epiphany last night. My biggest project right now is the Mushroom and Fern Mandala by Chalene. It is my largest piece. I love, love, love stitching on it, because quite honestly, it's like a sampler. If you get sick of doing one color and one type of stitch, you move on and do a few specialty stitches, or do some beading, and you know what, then you just have to look over the piece at the end and make sure you got everything in there. But I jump all over on that Chalene. It depends on what I'm in the mood for. And that's the piece. I totally bought that pattern and invested the money in a chatelaine, because it's a little bit of an investment to do a chatelaine. Because I loved that piece. After seeing Stephanie from Lindy Stitches stitch it, I absolutely loved it, and I didn't buy it and didn't buy it and didn't buy it, and I wanted to buy it and I wanted to do it. And I have a perfect wall in our bedroom that I want that thing framed and up. And so that's the piece that I want to tackle first. So my plan for May is I'm not going to start anything, so there's no new starts. I am going to stitch on my chatelaine, so the daily 30 will remain the daily 30. I will remain with Jesus every 30 minutes of every morning and keep going my 21,000 of 2021. I will get as caught up as I can on the modern folk embroidery over the remaining days of April, but that will be parked aside for May. So I won't work on it all in May. So chances are I'm going to have some of April's release and all of May's release to do when June's release comes out, and that's okay. I'm good with that. I can catch up on that. That's easy comfort stitching. I can do that. I'm going to work on the Mushroom and Fern chatelaine Monday through Friday throughout the month of May. So all of my other stitching time, so several hours a day, most days, will go to the Mushroom and Fern. If I want to continue working on the weekend, I will. If I do not, and I need a break from the chatelaine over the weekend, I'm picking a smaller kind of project that I already have in my WIP pile, and it's whatever I feel like to work on. And that's so it's almost a monogamania, but not quite. A monogamania with exceptions. That's it. So that allows me to, if I get sick of something, to move on to whatever I want. But Monday through Friday, I'm going to be pretty dedicated to working on the Mushroom and Fern chatelaine. And quite honestly, Part of that is because I have another chatelaine backed up right behind it that I will not start. Well, I can't start right now because my kit's not here. When Chatelaine Designs had their sale, I bought Evening in the Park. And then I bought a hand-dyed fabrics by Stephanie fabric to put it on. And then I bought the kit from European Cross Stitch Company. The kit hasn't come, so I can't start now anyway, which is good. I don't want to start it until I'm done with the mushroom and fern. So that's where I'm at. And I'm sticking to that plan. I'm not changing it because the weekends give me the willy-nilly thing where I can stitch on whatever I want. And if I feel like doing modern folk embroidery, I will. If I feel like doing a small, I will. I'd like to get some of my small and medium projects some time, but we'll see how I feel on the weekends. That being said, there's also a week in there that I'm on vacation. So the week before Memorial Day, I'm on vacation. I think by the end of May, I will see significant progress on the mushroom and fern chatelaine if I do that. So that's my plan. I am not starting anything new until I get a significant amount of my WIPs finished. So that being said, though, I have been buying some patterns, and I do have one pattern to show you that I bought, and I honestly didn't even know this pattern existed, and I've since bought another one. Not the same pattern. You'll see it in a minute. So let's look at haul for a minute. I recently found out that Blackbird Designs did a series of cross-stitch designs based on the Beatles. They called it the Magical Mystery Tour. I love the Beatles. I had no idea that Blackbird Designs had done this. So I looked at all the designs, and I don't care for all of them, and I'm not going to stitch all of them, but the one that popped out to me the most was Strawberry Fields Forever. I mean, how can you not stitch that? That is right up my alley, right? That ticks all the boxes. That is bright colors. That is fun stitching. That is just amazing. Look at the brick walls and that house. And look at the big, huge vine of strawberries. So this was going to be one of my Maynia starts. And I've since decided I was going to pull from stash and stitch from stash and start it. I'm not starting it, obviously, but I have it and I'm going to. And guess what else? I ordered Yellow Submarine as well. And I've ordered Map of Hawk Run Hollow because I'm not a real big fan of the other Hawk Run Hollows, but I do like the map one. And so my reward for getting some of these things that I've got finished is I'm going to have some new starts. Probably not until 2022. But I'm going to have them lined up and ready to go. So that's all. I think that's awfully long-winded, almost 40 minutes of cross-stitch, but I think that that's it for cross-stitch. So if you're going to depart at this state of the game, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you'd like to stick around, I have some sewing to talk about, and I have a little bit of knitting to show. I haven't been knitting much, but a little bit. So I'll give you a second for everybody. Peace out, and I'll get a drink because I got a dry throat. So sewing, let's see. What have I been sewing on? So I'm in the middle of the Nebula Block of the Month by Tulip Pink. I just have to move some stuff around here. And so I had these all cut out and ready to go. It's Nebula Block 3 and 4, so I'm going to show you these. I keep going to the wrong side, I'm sorry. And I did get these done. So I'm going to show you those. Just because they're pretty, right? I'm liking bright colors. That's washing them out just a tad. Let's see. Ah, that's better. That's better. So I got this one. I got this one. I got this one. I really like this fabric here. And this one. So these are the 4 blocks that I finished. So just as I finished these, the rest of my fabric shipment came in for the remainder of the blocks. And it came, this nice bag came with it. So I just wanted you to know, I get the block of the month through Fat Quarter Shop. And I think they do a really good job. I think lots of other people do a really good job too. But this particular one I'm getting from Fat Quarter Shop. But they sent this bag with this one, so that's what I'm keeping the fabric in right now. So I got the, let me see, show you what block. I got the fabric for blocks 5, 6, 7. I think it's 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this is block 5, and I'll show you these again when I do them. Block 6. Oop. I'll have to remember to pick that up. Block 7. Block 8. And block 9. So now I have all the fabric comes packaged in individual blocks, you see? So block 5, and all the fabrics are in here. And I'm not taking them out to show them to you because I need to starch them today. So I'm not going to get them all messed up before I do that. So I've gotten all the fabric to do those blocks. The next shipment, this particular block of the month came in 3 shipments. The first one was the blocks I just showed you and all the patterns. The second one was this one I just showed you with the bag. And the third one is supposed to be all the remaining fabric for the top and the binding plus a quilt label, I think. Quilt label. And anyway, so I'm enjoying that. I have a quilt on my long arm. I moved my sewing area around again and resituated my long arm, and I needed my husband to re-level the long arm before I did a maintenance on it and quilted some more. So he's got that all re-leveled. I'm going to do some maintenance on it hopefully today or tonight, and then I'll be able to quilt. I do have a block of last year's, the 2020 Fat Quarter Shop charity quilt. I had bought the kit last year, and that is on my long arm at the moment. So maybe when I get to long arming that, I'll take some video. In the quilting side of things, I also have acquisitions. And I shouldn't have acquisitions. However, every week I do a Zoom meetup with Gail from Gail's Golden Needle. She lives in Chicago. I live in upstate New York. We have very similar interests when it comes to quilting. Sorry, I'm putting lotion on my hands because they're very dry. I collect Tula Pink fabric. I think if you've watched me enough, then you know that that's what I do. But I have many Tula Pink fabric lines here that I wanted to do something with. And so if you watch, Gail and I posted a joint floss tube. It's both posted on my channel and her channel last week. It's the quilt behind her that I'm referring to. It is called the Brimfield Block. I'm going to show you the pattern. This is the pattern. So I bought the pattern. I bought the templates. This is an English paper piece pattern. That's the other thing I want to throw out there. I bought the center template because when you do this, you are appliquing this ring. You are to applicate this paper pieced ring onto a background fabric, and that's what's your quilt. I got the template to put something else in the middle besides an empty middle. And right now I have a bag of paper pieces. And the only thing I'm waiting to come in is the paper pieces for the center. Anyway, you need to go watch the video, even if it's only to see the quilt that's behind Gail, to understand exactly what I'm talking about. I am going to make this quilt completely out of Tula Pink fabrics, and that's how I'm going to showcase my lines that I have Tula Pink fabric that I have, because I refuse to buy any more until I do something with the ones I have, because I don't want these fabrics just sitting here. I want to do something with them, and this is perfect. And I almost think this will become my travel project instead of cross stitch when I get enough of them kind of made up to travel with me. I will have them in a project bag or a project box, and they will travel with me, and this will become my travel project. Sorry, I just knocked the table, but I'm excited. Super excited. I'm always excited about quilts, but I haven't been this excited about quilts in a long time. So it's kind of fun. The sewing that I did on those Tula Pinks blocks was actually the first sewing I had done in months. Just because things had been so busy, I'm looking forward to getting back to it. And yeah, I'm kind of excited. Matter of fact, for those of you that don't know, my long arm has actually been listed for sale for a while because I was convinced that my life would be so busy that I would never be back at it. I'm not only right now a little thankful that nobody's bought it, but very thankful that I'm back to sewing. It just feels great. But cross stitch came after. Sewing is my jam. Okay, that's the end of the sewing. And I just have a little bit of knitting, so you guys know that I've been knitting socks. My husband and I, this is going to sound funky to a lot of people, but we're church-going folk. If you didn't know that, you know that now. And during the pandemic, that our church, probably halfway through the lockdown, 4 or 5 months into the lockdown, I think, they started Zoom groups, Zoom meetings, basically, where people could get together, see each other, talk, kind of like you would do if you went to church. Well, my church is back open. They're doing 2 services every Sunday. You have to register. They can only have so many people in the building. I tend to serve in the nursery. My husband serves in the audio visual kind of category. And I'm going to fix this pin while we talk. And anyway, so we don't register for seats so much as we're serving at the church. But we have a group. The church had a kind of like a prayer focus at one point because people were just struggling through the pandemic. So, church wants to do what they can to help. So anyway, that's kind of bled over. That's like a long story. I have a group of, there's 6 of us. My husband and I and another couple and then 2 other people. We meet every morning on Zoom at 6 o'clock in the morning to be friends, to start our days off right, to spend some time just talking to each other and growing our faith, through troubled times or whatever, because we all have our stuff that's going on, right? Anyway, during that prayer group, I have found the need to knit on my socks because I have trouble focusing. Number one, it's early in the morning. It's before I've had a ton of coffee, which I'm down to like 2 cups of coffee a day now. But anyway, so I've just have started to knit. So after not knitting on my socks for a while, I have been knitting on them during the prayer group, although I did not this morning. But I'm making progress, so you'll know that I'm knitting them simultaneously, right? So that there's no second sock syndrome. So I'm knitting this one up to where I want it to be, and then I will knit this one up to where I want it to be, and then I'll do the heels on both. But look, I've come up probably 2 inches on this one just by knitting here and there. This, I don't know if I have the colorway in here. This is done with a Forbidden Fiber Co. yarn. It's pretty. It's got greens, blues, a little bit of purple, whites. So greens and blues are my thing. I'm not sure if I have the color thing in here. I don't think I do. I think I lost it somewhere. And I don't remember what it is, to be quite honest with you. I'm feeling around in here to see. Oh, wait. I might have it. I do. It's called Fortitude by Forbidden Fiber Co. It is 100% superwash merino. Forbidden Fiber Co. Just so you can see, it's Forbidden Fiber Co. She's now doing cross-stitch floss and cross-stitch boxes and yarn boxes. So it's kind of cool. I have enough of her yarn to last me quite some time. I knit socks, but I love her yarn. So I was kind of happy about that, making some slow progress on that. So I think I'm going to go. It's been almost an hour. If you stuck with me this long, thank you very much. For For those of you that come back every time I put a video up, I do appreciate you. Leave me comments. I'd love to touch base with you. I am thinking about hosting another Zoom stitching night, which I did a while ago, and I think it would be nice to do one again. If you're interested in that, leave me a comment below. Otherwise, I think I'm going to bid you adieu. I'm going to go on, pick up all this mess first, and then go on to some more crafting today. My schedule's kind of funky this semester because I teach on Saturday. I get Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off, which is nice. I just wrote a paper, and I only have one left for the semester, and I will do that one tomorrow, hopefully, and be done. But everybody, have a great day. Get some stitchy stuff in, whatever your craft of choice is. Be kind, be loving, and it's nice to be back and doing these videos with you. And I also want to schedule a live stitch with me again soon. So I hope everybody's having a great day. Peace out.